Hi, everyone. Ashley Mailloux, David Aragona here, taking a look at one of the 15 races this Saturday at Parx. They have a marathon of a card, and we're going to focus in here on the nightcap, race number 15 for the 4-year-olds and upwards. It's the Parx Sprint. It's not a graded stakes race, but it's $150,000. And nice full field here, David, to contest at the 6.5 furlong distance, 13 in total.
Yeah, you don't hear race 15 used too often in thoroughbred racing, but this is a race you probably want to stay tuned for because it closes out a lot of multi-race sequences after the Pennsylvania Derby on Saturday, and it's not an easy one to handicap. As you can see, large field signed on, and it looks pretty wide open, Ashley.
Yeah, the morning line really suggests that too. I think when you look at the 4 horses on the lower prices on the morning line, there are maybe things to like about them, or maybe you're against them. Maybe it's the layoff, maybe it's their last out effort. But with the sprint race, really want to take a look at the Time Form US pace projection here. This is where things could, I think, get pretty quick early on. More towards the inside of the starting gate, the 5, Maximus Meridius, potentially could be involved. You have Damon's Mound more towards the outside, and the 9 of Buccerino in here as well. Another one that likes to be forward. Do you agree that this should be pretty quick early on?
I think it's going to be a contested pace. It could be a fast pace. Who is going to be leading early? I don't have any clue because it feels like a lot of horses want to be forward in here. They all have a similar amount of early speed. It's not like there are so many confirmed front runners that can't run their best race without the lead in here, but there are several that want to be involved early to have their best chance. Buccerino, definitely one of those. The horse that's shown leading on the pace projector, Damon's Mound, he actually strikes me as one of the more versatile horses that could be involved in this pace. So maybe they back off with him a little bit given that he drew outside.
And towards the back of the pack, you can see the 8 Caramel Chip does have the late pace flag attached to him. Let's dive right into it. A lot of work to get into here, David, with the number 1, Full Moon Madness, who will take a look at that most recent effort at Delaware Park. Now, this is mid-June. Top 3 we're all going to see compete here on Saturday at Parx. And I think if you look at this performance, I do feel like Full Moon Madness got the perfect trip, but now the layoff's a little bit of a concern.
It's a little strange to see the layoff because having handicapped the entire Saratoga meet, I recall that he was entered twice at Saratoga. He was entered in the AG Vanderbilt. He was entered in the Forgo. He scratched from both of those races. He was then subsequently entered in an overnight stakes at Churchill Downs, scratched from that race too. So it feels like there have been some obstacles getting this horse back to the races since that victory we just took a look at. If he holds that form now coming back from the 3-month layoff, he's a major player here because those pair of 98 buyers make him one of the fastest horses in this field.
The number 2 Drop Line, he's cross-entered in a spot on Friday at Parx, but comes in here fresh off a win. And for him, it's a career best, David, a horse that obviously he's found the winner's circle plenty of time, 6 for 13 now, but this is a big jump up in class.
Yeah, it's good news that he's coming off a career best effort last time when he earned that 92 buyer, but he did so against a much weaker field than he would be facing here if he goes in this spot. And also, something I noticed watching that race is he broke a step slowly and had to rush up to get to the lead. He might not have that luxury to make the frontier after a slow break from the inside post in a 13-horse field.
The number 3, Hold My Bourbon, this one for Safi Joseph Jr. and Gravy Train Racing. Beat one horse in the Forgo last time out, but obviously very different waters. You can see Bookham Dano, just a really fun sprinter to watch over the last several years. And prior to that, I have a feeling that win at Saratoga gave them a lot of confidence, but still a lofty spot last time out.
Yeah, I'm not going to be too hard on him for the last race, as you noted. That was just a little too tough for him. He ran really well, too, back when he earned that 98 buyer. That was going 7 furlongs, though. He got loose up front that day. It was an honest pace, but not like they were flying, and he didn't have contention for the lead. So turning back to the 6.5 furlongs, I wonder if that's going to be just a little sharp for him against a field like this. But he is a horse that you could pick as a contender.
The number 4, 24 Mamba up next. First off, the claim now was picked up for $50,000 last time out and had a sizable lead at one point, David, but sort of surrendered late to be defeated as the favorite. I still think it was a good effort, but another one that you kind of have to now assess against this group. It might be a little tough.
Yeah, watching that race back, it's hard to believe he gets nailed on the wire. I'm sure the connections were on their way down to the winner's circle before he hit the wire. It looked like he was going to get that victory. That was the $50,000 claimer. He's been claimed out of that spot by Michelle Giangiulio, 10 Strike Racing. Some sharp connections, maybe not great stats off the claim, but they have done well with some acquisitions. And this is a horse who has plenty of back class, and he's been in reasonably good form. And best of all, he can pass horses, which I think you want to have as an attribute in this race.
The number 5, Maximus Meridius, a horse that I liked as a 3-year-old. I thought he was fun to watch. He had some good performances this year, though. In terms of what we've seen since the layoff, we saw a win, at Parx, but it was against the Pennsylvania breds, right? And then last time out, they took him to Saratoga and just didn't like that performance and the fact that he's going to run into Damon's Mound again.
Yeah, I'm just not really sure where he's at from a form perspective right now because, as you noted, he was so good last year. He held that form through the winter, picked up a stakes win at Aqueduct over the winter time in New York, but his form just kind of tailed off through the springtime. He hasn't gotten it back in a couple starts since returning, so just not sure that he's ready for a test like this.
The 6 bump and run, another one that's going to get tested here, was 5th last time out in a 6-horse field that was locally at Parx at the distance, but it was over a muddy main track. Maybe you give him a little bit of a pass on that effort due to the track conditions, David, but 2 starts back, he wins it. I still don't think that's good enough to beat this field.
No, even that victory came in an off the turf race, so he probably wasn't facing the best field of dirt horses there, and he's got a couple 90-plus buyers going way back, but his recent form makes it tough to build a case for him.
The 7 Bernie's mid, another price on the morning line for Jordan Bullock. This one was second behind drop line last time out. Only 2 starts in the barn, and they tried something different 2 starts back, having him go long. They cut him back. They did see an improvement, but that being his career best figure, it seems like a similar story here. It's a little bit of a tough sell.
Yeah, I didn't see really any excuse for him to lose to drop line last time. We talked about how he's a bit of a stretch in this race. I could say the same thing about Birdie's mitts. Just feels like a bit too tough of a spot for him.
Now, the 8 Caramel Chip we saw does have the late pace flag attached to him in terms of the time form US pace projection. We'll take a look at his most recent effort, which was, I think, good to see him come back to Parx, a track that he had a good effort back in 2023 when he was able to win. And he sat a little bit closer, I feel like, in terms of position early on, David, and just comes up second best. But I think it's a good effort.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty solid effort for him. Bucarino is a horse who's very tough to pass when he gets to set comfortable fractions up front, and he got that in this race and drew away from the field. But I like the Caramel Chip just keeps plugging away to ultimately get up for second on the wire. When he's gotten some pace to close into in the past, he's been successful. I've never really viewed him as a graded stakes level horse, but it's not like this race came up so tough for a listed stakes event. So I think he fits here. He's kind of the one true closer in this large field. So I wonder if that's going to attract some support his way. But I do think he's a contender.
He's 10-1 on the morning line. The 9 Bucarino, you mentioned a tough horse to pass, and that was the case last time out. And go through his past performances, I feel like a lot of his wins have been in front-end fashion, but there have been times where he's able to have a target in front of him early and just kind of go by them and control the race from there.
Yeah, he's got some versatility to him. He doesn't want to really be behind horses early, but he at least wants to be involved in the pace. He doesn't need to have the lead all to himself. We saw in the last race, he dueled for the front end, put a rival away, and was still able to hold on easily. And when you throw out that turf race 2 back, he's won 4 of his last 6 dirt starts. He's coming in here in razor sharp form, and I think he's arguably the horse to beat in this race.
The 10 going up, this one on a price on the morning line for Ron Potts Jr. was second last time out in a turf race. And you look at his dirt form, I guess the numbers aren't appealing in my opinion, David, but it's their performances that are good. 2 out of the 3 have been good. I know the Army Mule, though, he didn't fare too well there. And that makes me wonder if maybe stakes competition on the dirt's a different story.
Yeah, when you look at those prior dirt races, a couple of them came against weaker company. As you noted, the Army Mule, he didn't quite stack up against the foes that he faced there. But the best thing you can say about him is it does feel like he is coming into this race in career best form. He's run some of his best turf races recently, so maybe he can translate that back to the dirt. I would demand a price on him, but you'll probably get one.
The 11 Damon's Mound, I feel like, I don't know, it feels like yesterday he was the hype horse, but I look back, it's 2022 that he had all that hype early on in his career. And he's gone on to do some good things. I've just been a little perplexed in some of his races in terms of his strategy. What is he really going to do? You alluded to that in the time form US pace projection. He can close. He can be forward. I almost feel like I would prefer to see him not on the lead in here.
Yeah, I had trouble believing that too. He won the Gallant Bob over this track in 2023, and he was off for over a year after that. His performances since returning as a 5-year-old, they've been pretty good. I wish I saw more progression from him since that return at Gulfstream back in January. He's just kind of like stayed at a similar level in his last race, a little disappointing, losing as the favorite in an allowance event at Saratoga, but he did show in that Alapocus run at Delaware that he can pass horses if he doesn't get early position, so that's a feather in his cap.
The 12 Twisted Ride cross under the spot in Laurel on Sunday was third in that effort that we showed a little bit ago with Bucarino and Caramel Chip. Prior to that, though, he didn't fire in a race that Damon's Mound exits. And I just feel like looking at his form, he's got a little bit of trouble late in his races. I don't feel like he stays on very well.
Yeah, he's a horse who got really good in the middle of 2024, but he finished third in that Vanderbilt. It's kind of gone the wrong way since then, and his performances so far since returning for the 6-year-old season, they just have not produced speed figures that really make him a contender in here, and he's another one that wants to be forward.
And then rounding out this big field is the 13, My Buddy B. Fresh off a win, a nice win off a little bit of a freshening. Now that came at Thistle, but go down the pages of the PPs here. It's quite lengthy, 24 starts under the belt. This horse has fired some big races when I don't think it's been expected for him to do so. And I think this level of competition, he should fare pretty well.
This is a pretty intriguing horse because when you start to parse his form and you throw out a lot of the synthetic and turf races, which are just not his preferred surface, he's 9 for 15 in his career on the dirt. And he's run against some really nice horses, as you were alluding to last season. I mean, he wasn't disgraced in races like the Phoenix. He actually crossed the wire first in the Grade 3 Bold Roller before getting controversially DQ'd in that race. That was a tough one for me to take, having liked him in that spot. But last time out, it feels like it might have been just a prep race. He's coming back only 9 days later, so I imagine they probably had this race targeted. If he shows up here and actually comes back on the short turnaround, I think he's interesting.
All right, big field of 13 here for the Parx Sprint. Don't forget, it's the 15th race on Saturday. It's a marathon of a card. I think that's the best way to describe it. We will move towards our top selections, and I do think there are different directions to go, and I like you sort of thinking out of the box here with the number 13, My Buddy B, talking about the quick turnaround, but probably was the move that they were aiming to do, right? To get a race under his belt and set him up for this.
That's what I'm thinking. If they come back on short rest, it probably is intentional. And he still has to prove that he's quite as good as he was back in 2024. But I think he's going to be a fair price in this race. So I'll take my shot with him.
And we will use the 8, 9, and 11 somewhere in our selections. I do go to the 9, Bucarino on top. You mentioned it, probably the horse to beat in here. I just think can be a little dangerous when forwardly placed. And just things I liked about him more than some of the others in there. I'm still wanting to see more from Damon's Mound and the other horses. So 13, 8, 11, 9 for David, 9, 11, 8, 1 for me. The Parx Sprint this Saturday at Parx. Good luck.